Hey everybody, it is India with Back to Lifestyle. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let's go ahead and get into fashion news for the month of October. And I'm going to try to go fast because if you saw this thumbnail, then you saw the title. And we have a lot to cover. Let's get into All right. So a topic or a company that is not new to fashion news, my fashion news segment is Rent the Runway. I don't know if you can rent from outside the United States. I didn't look that far into it, but for my US based people, I'm sure you have heard about Rent the Runway. I think I talked about them either last year or year before. Either one. Anyway, okay, so if you are not familiar, they are a e-commerce platform that allows clothing and accessories to be rented for a fee. So that way they also do allow you to purchase clothing as well. But instead of getting a dress, for example, for a wedding, you can rent it for 3 days or 4 days, pay a fraction of that cost rather than having to pay full price for a that you're or purse even or clothing item that you're not going to use again. A lot of times those expenses are weddings or red carpet events or fundraisers, things like that. That's where they came in. Now, this company was born actually from two Harvard graduates. Both of their names were Jennifer, and it started in 2009. So it was founded in New York City, and both of those are Jennifer Hyman and Jennifer Felice. I'm not sure if I'm saying her last name correctly, but it started off as a passion project and then grew into this company that we see today. And it's gone through a few iterations, and that's why they're on the list. Now, with Rent the Runway, they initially started with a one-time rental model, have had to pivot over the years to just make sure that they remain in business. With that one-time rental model, the average rental was for 4 days or 8 days with a piece of clothing. The nice benefit, a selling point with it was it came with a prepaid label, so that way there's no hassle to request a label to send the item back. It already had the label. I believe you can also use the same bag that it came in as well to send it back. Also, it did not require you to dry clean the item. So it was very much a customer forward, customer friendly company where they made it as convenient as possible to rent this item or several items for a small period of time. And also, with that, even if you weren't sure about sizing, you could also get a backup size without an additional cost. Just very easy, right? It definitely left the barriers to the company to manage, which I think it was why one of the reasons why it had an initial success. Also, with that, they had a meticulous 20-step garment maintenance process where they had people, so that way the clothes did not feel used. If there was, I remember reading in the article, which you will, as always, have the links down below to reference, is going to be that they use an example of a nail polish getting on a dress or something like that, them being able to expertly remove the nail polish while keeping the dress intact, which helps with inventory. If you have to wash out the inventory or basically get rid of it and replace it frequently, you're going to run into more cost issues with doing that versus in-house being able to meticulously maintain these clothing items. And so they had this kind of extravagant or very detailed process to keep up with the products, which makes sense, right? You don't want to, the dress is used, but you don't want to you don't want it to seem like 20 people have had the dress on when you get it. Is pretty much what you're trying not to do. And Rent the Runway did a great job with that. Now, in recent years, they've had to shift. And funny enough, last year I saw that they were doing a stock split, and I had actually debated buying some stock, and I'm glad I didn't, because right now the stock is around like $4. I remember I checked it a couple of days ago and it's like about $4. At that point it was at 11 or $17, and for whatever reason, I can't remember exactly, there was a few reasons why I decided, let me wait, and I'm glad I did. Now they have shifted to a subscription model, which before, when you had this runtime rental thing, me, for example, I haven't been to a wedding in years. I think the last wedding I've been to was probably like 3 years ago. Yes. And then before that may have been like 4 years before that. And in those cases, not a lot of people are going to be, like that one time rental rather than me getting an everyday clothing item or something like that that would entice me to spend money regularly with you versus a one time model. So they changed up to a subscription model to help with revenue, which, like I said, makes more sense, right? If I'm already paying you a fee, that's income that you can basically is guaranteed until I cancel the subscription, but also it entices me to continue my services with you if you're already pulling the money from me. Hear where I'm going? Okay. They changed to that. They also garment maintenance in house, which totally makes sense. They also, with that subscription model, changed to have strategic partnerships. That was something that I talked about before, where they were expanding their line. They think it was called the real, not the real child. It was called Rent the Runway, the Vault, or something like that, where it was going to be like these super high end, kind of one of a kind or very rare pieces that people would be able to have access to renting. They also did a partnership with more prestigious fashion houses, which is where that vault, where I talked about that vault topic came from. They also partnered with Amazon to help with reselling pieces that they no longer were going to cycle through, like they had ended their or reached their kind of rental lifetime period. So a lot of that came about. And then also recently in August of this year, so 2025, they it made headlines because they're handing a controlling stake over to private equity, and this is to reduce debt. And those three firms that there's three firms or private equity groups, however you want to describe it, are going to be taking on a decent amount of that debt from Rent the Runway. And they, like I said, to reduce debt and then increase growth. And they also are shifting to allowing brands to list directly versus them having to be inventory heavy, which is a big cost to have those, like, for example, a Prada say, let me take these items and put it on your site so people can rent it, but then they don't, Rent the Runway doesn't have to purchase those items from Prada, for example. Let me know what your thoughts are. Have you ever used Rent the Runway? Do you think this is going to help? I think this model does help reduce some of the financing on their side. And if they could figure out a good window for this, I think it'll be good. One of the things that I did read was that they did have a trouble, which like a lot of companies did, which was in kind of that phase where a lot of us were at home. We weren't going into the office. So maybe you're not renting as many clothing for events or renting clothing for work, for example, for like a special event. So trying to find a way to find that happy medium with people continuing to spend money, they get value, they get good service, but you also want to get your company back solvent and in good standing. And we'll move on to the next topic. If you have been around for a while, I have talked about this book. Do I have the book? It's somewhere. It's in my closet, but I didn't think to pull it out. But Robin Gavan, I think is how you pronounce her name. So according to WWD, she it had recently taken a buyout. Now, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, she is a huge name as a fashion critic. She wrote a book that you're seeing on the screen now that I cannot remember the name of right now, which was very interesting. I really enjoyed reading it. She has also released another book, but just a little bit of background knowledge on her. She, like I said, has been an integral part of the fashion commentary for decades. She has been with the Washington Post for 25 years. In 2020, she became the senior critic at large for the Washington Post, and she's also won a Pulitzer Prize for her fashion commentary and critiquing. That was in 2006. Now, if you did not know, Jeff Bezos did purchase the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, still a W. And there were several people that had buyout offers, and she said the price was right, and she decided to go ahead and take that buyout. Now, it doesn't mean she's going away quietly. She plans to show up again in the media landscape, and what that will look like, we'll have to see. But she definitely says she's not done yet, but she does have some personal things she wants to focus on. and, take a little break. And she did release another book. It is called Make It Ours. It is Crushing the Gates of Culture, and she wrote that with Virgil Abloh, which we know, RIP to him. He was former creative director for the men's line, I believe, for LV. If that's the right title, let me know. If that's not right, let me know in the comments down below. Wanted to share that because love fashion over here. I think that's a big fashion news type of piece. And let me know if you've heard of Robin Givhan before, if you've read her book before. I think she kind of think. Yeah, other than that, yeah, I do want to get that book and read that. So I hope to read that soon. But I love some fashion history. And that was one of the reasons why I loved her previous book that she made. Moving on, Chanel. Did you know Chanel makes wine? Let me know in the comments down below if you have heard this. But Chanel has been secretly, quietly making wine for the past 3 decades. Okay. And just like Chanel, they're gonna do the up and up and perfection to the max. They have been making Bordeaux for 30 years. And over that time, they first purchased their property in 1994. They then expanded and bought another one in the same area in 1996. Where they make these Bordeaux's, the wine matures for 18 months in French oak. I'm gonna call them barrels, but they didn't call them barrels. You're seeing on the screen what it's called. I didn't want to screw it up. But their wine estate that they have is invitation only. Y'all let me know if y'all that cool to be invited to taste some wine made by Chanel. Throw it in the comments down below. I would love to chat with you about that. And then they've recently expanded. They bought another property in that same area in France, but they also have expanded out to Napa Valley in 2015. It's just crazy. Like, they're making wine. Just, that it's just really cool to see how they have expanded out to different things. And I think it's just really cool to me to know that they make wine. I thought that was interesting to share with you guys. And then a last topic up before we move on to our other set of topics that we got is more about what things look like but are not. And thank you to my sister. She actually shared this with me. I found this very interesting because it hits very close to home. And that is, I live in Georgia and I do live in the metro Atlanta area. And we've made the news. So LV has been awarded $584 million, which to date, according to this article, is the largest award to case for counterfeit goods. And the judge ordered this settlement, this payment from the owners of a flea market, indoor flea market that is in the Atlanta area. It is called Westgate Shopping Mall. I meant to Google where Westgate Shopping Mall was because I honestly I don't know where that is off the top of my head. I forgot to Google it, but if I remember to Google while I'm editing, you're seeing the details in the comments down below. I mean, just whatever on the screen. But anyway, that's where the mall is. In August of 2021, so this has been going on for a little while, 18 tractor trailers with 250,000 goods were seized. 72,000 of those items were marked with LV markings, or supposed LV markings is what I should say. And this settlement, like I said, is the hugest to date. The last one would have been when Gucci was awarded for $144.2 million in a case against goods that were produced that should not have been produced. The brand's over here fighting crime. I don't know if they're going to get a handle on it per se, but the fact that we now have seen, like, I didn't hear about I feel like I heard about the Gucci case, but not sure. But then also seeing this one where these people who were operating this market have to pay up that amount of money. I don't know if it's going to scare people or not. I don't think it will, but it's just interesting to see this happening in the fashion landscape, business landscape, all of that. Okay, moving on. So Lo tagged me and a cute Halloween video. And this is the last video of the month, so I have to get it out now. Otherwise, I will miss the deadline of Halloween. Also, Liz did a video where she talked about secrets are out and bags that, what do you call it? You're seeing on the screen, but but basically like using handbags to describe things about you that people may not know. And so I did want to jump in on both of those and briefly touch on them. So, and make sure you subscribe to those lovely ladies' channels. They make wonderful content and they release content every week. All right. First up is, since Liz did her video first about the secret is out, I wanted to do that one. And I'm going to use this bag to represent it. You've seen this bag featured a couple of times recently in my pre-loved collection video. And something that you do not know about me is I don't like change. And I am usually very slow to change. And you already know, because I talk about pre-loved. I love vintage. I love pre-owned. And I've said this before on another video when I'm talking about this bag, but it just represents a time when expense was not spared, right? We've got super heavy hardware. We have buttery soft suede on the inside. Like, you hear this? Let me let you hear this. I love the sound of hardware. Like, that's some hardware. If I need to protect myself and there is nothing even in this bag, I could swing this and knock you out, right? Like, this is child. Just love it. And so when things change away from really good things to skimping, I don't like that. And so that's why I wanted to share that I don't I don't like change. I am, the whole AI thing is here. And so I am trying to slowly embrace playing with AI a little bit. I have it on my list to try some things with AI at work, actually. And in my personal life, actually, I've been playing with some app development, and I'm using AI for that. I'm trying to embrace the change a little bit by a little bit, but yeah, I don't really like when things switch it up. So that is something to know about me. Next up, because this video is already 21 minutes, good Lord. All right, so Halloween topic. Let's talk. Lo did a cute video where she talked about Halloween and bags to go with Halloween. And funny enough, when she put in her comments a response to my comment, this was the first bag that I thought of. And if I think this is like, I would say this is a great Halloween bag to carry around. You're not gonna get any candy in here. Now that's something that, if you don't know about me, but I don't like food products, drinks, nothing in my handbags. I, it does not belong because I don't want things to get stained. I don't want things to get spilled on. That's a no for me. But yeah, so you're not going to fit a lot of candy in here if you're a person that carries food or doesn't mind carrying food in their bag. But I think of this more like a Phantom of the Opera is the first costume that I can think of, something like that. I also think about The Nightmare Before Christmas. Do you guys remember that movie? And the little skeleton with the bow tie and suit. He reminds me of this, like maybe if I dressed up as the girl. I don't really like, if I was to dress up, it would be a very girly or goofy costume, not really like a scary, gory costume. But I would think this would go with it. So this is the first bag that I thought of for that. Thank you all so much for watching. I know this was an extra long video, which I have not done a super long video in a long time. And I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. And make sure you subscribe to their videos. Throw your comments down below. I totally want to talk to you guys in the comments. Bye.